Hey everyone, welcome back to How to Be a Poser. Today's topic, the hero pose. And we're going to illustrate that pose using Sideshow's Luke Skywalker X-Wing pilot figure. Let's get started. Okay, so here's our hero, Luke, right out of the box, exactly as he's going to come to you. Now, for this particular pose that I have in mind, this particular hero pose, I think that we're going to have him holding his helmet, which means that we're going to have to get it off this head. That's a really complex thing to do, so we're going to show you how to do that really quick. The head assembly comes in three separate pieces, two sides and this top part right here. So what you're going to want to do first is just from the top front here, pull this guy off, being very careful. These things are very small, very fragile, so be very careful not to break any of that. Now, after you get the top of the helmet removed, what you're going to want to do is very gently pry these pieces apart, which are friction fit together. But just be very gentle when you're pulling them apart because you don't want to break this little guy. He's very thin, very fragile. He's flexible to an extent, but I wouldn't want to push it. Next step is the removal of the hair piece. Be very gentle when pulling him off because you run the risk of marking up his forehead. Not that it's going to matter because his other full hair piece will also rest all the way over his forehead. But personally, I'm pretty picky about my figures and I don't want them to be marked up. It's a tight fit. Be fearless and just push it down on there. This figure has some kind of a puffy sleeve thing going on here right out of the box. I think what you're going to want to do is just take some time, futz with this costume, because Luke is a skinny guy. He doesn't have broad shoulders. He's a kid. He's 19 years old. Reassembling the helmet now, because we're going to want this helmet to be intact for the pose. But here's basically, you'll have 3 key points right here. 1, 2, 3. Bring those things together. Push them in. Together, they form 2 key points here and here. Line those up. And push them together. They fit quite snug, so there's no fear of them falling apart. There's a line right here in the gauntlet portion of the glove that should correspond to a similar line in the hand portion of the glove. Just makes they're lined up. It just gives a nice, clean appearance to the overall pose when it's finished. So that's going to be right here for now. That's just basically rough. Pay attention to these feet here. See how they just form kind of a triangle. The line from the foot back to here and back to here, from toe to toe, just forms a neat little triangle. That's a natural standing posture. You want to try to replicate that in pretty much all of your poses as much as you can. With that in mind, we're going to turn his body just a little bit to the front, I think. Just like he's moving forward. He's looking for adventure and excitement. That's our Luke. Okay, this is something I probably should have done beforehand, but I'm going to need to bend that hand in a particular way. And so I think what I'm going to do is I've taken this out right now so that I can bend the wrist peg in the proper direction and then reinsert the hand into the wrist. Now his hand's in a better position to hold that helmet once we get it in there. These little guys right here, they can slide and they always will look better if they're perfectly even. Another thing, all the reference material that I've seen of this figure shows that these straps hang down on the outside like this. So find a way, whether it's snagging them at the bottom of these pockets or whatever, to just drag them down and get them to stay in roughly that position. When it comes to a figure like this, you want to suggest not just the character's heroic nature overall, but you really want to signify Luke's yearning for adventure. Now I'm going to lift this up here. You can see that his 2 fingers there will kind of cradle that lower curve right there on the side of the helmet. And these 2 inner fingers here will hook underneath it as it starts to fall. Press it all the way up against his side, and the friction between the hand and the costume will hold that in place. And there it is. Red 5, totally standing by.